What is going on, guys? I've been getting a ton of comments about it. I've been watching it. Now we got to talk about it. Tropical storm Nicole, expected to be a hurricane and make landfall on the east coast of Florida. We're actually in the middle of filming a couple pranks and a couple challenges, but the weather hasn't really permitted and things have kind of just gotten put on hold. I'm not going to say much, but we're bringing back the shark fin and we've been building bushes all week. Yeah, that's right. I said bushes. But we'll worry about all that awesome stuff later because we have something interesting on the forecast. Like I said, tropical storm Nicole expected to become a hurricane. Maximum sustained wind of 45 miles per hour. Movement at northwest at 9 miles per hour. So for those of you that don't know, I'm Jack Tenney of the JoogSquad. I've lived in Florida my entire life. I've been surfing my entire life, and I've been watching hurricanes my entire life. I have lived through every single hurricane that has hit Florida in the last 28 years. Not only am I completely obsessed with tracking these things and with watching them grow and with giving you guys forecasts, I'm also completely addicted to surfing. I love riding waves. Hurricanes make the best waves that Florida gets, so they're exciting, they're scary, all sorts of stuff. So we have part of the Bahamas under hurricane warning. That's serious. It's real. Florida already getting hurricane watches as well. That'll change over the next few days. We're expecting hurricane warnings all up and down the East Coast. So there's a big shear coming in from the north, and that's going to kind of press up against this storm. Oh, let me get rid of that. See this shear moving in? This is going to prevent the storm from just ripping up the coast, and it's going to actually push it straight towards the east coast of Florida. So we have all this shear mixing in with the hurricane, and what it's looking like is potentially multiple days of heavy onshore winds up and down the east coast of Florida. So what this means is serious storm surges from Jacksonville all the way down to Palm Beach as this thing makes landfall. I haven't really ever seen anything like this. We're not expecting it to become a major hurricane. Obviously, it's still a couple of days out, but they're not expecting it to strengthen past Category 2. That can obviously always change. One of the most important things to note about hurricanes is you just have to watch them. So we just dealt with Hurricane Ian on the Gulf Coast, which is still... it just looks like a war zone over there. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. The aftermath from Hurricane Ian is by far one of the worst hurricanes in terms of damage that I've ever seen in my entire life. So, very important thing to know about hurricanes. When they hit the Gulf Coast, anywhere south of the eye wall is going to get the worst effects of the storm. When you're on the East Coast, anywhere north of the eye wall is going to get the worst effects of this storm. Because as we know, hurricanes spin counterclockwise. So, in the northwestern quadrant of this hurricane, anywhere in here, anywhere north of this eye wall is going to see pretty decent flooding. I mean, the East Coast is more built for storms than the Gulf Coast is, but this is probably going to be one of the more serious swell events that we see of the entire season for Florida. If I go to Surfline, just to kind of give you a more of a surfer's perspective on this, we'll just do Central Florida. 8 to 10 foot, 8 to 12 foot, 8 to 12 foot. Big waves. What's the interval? Yeah, 8 to 10 foot at 13 seconds. Those are very, very big waves. We're also directly in the middle of a full moon. I believe the full moon is Tuesday, Wednesday. If you guys didn't know, the moon controls the tides, and the more full the moon is, the more high the tide is. So if we're getting crazy, crazy onshore winds like this, and the highest tides that we've gotten all year, it could be bad for the East Coast. It's still early. We're going to know a lot more tomorrow, see if this thing actually develops. National Hurricane Center is going to be driving through it. NHC update at 4 p.m. still shows subtropical storm Nicole, but they are expecting it to strengthen to a hurricane before it makes landfall Thursday morning. I'm pretty sure I'm going to chase this thing over to the East Coast because there could be some pretty good windows for swell if when this thing makes landfall we get offshore winds. So it's looking like there could be potential for Thursday to have some offshore winds. Obviously not up in Jacksonville, nowhere down by Daytona, but Friday's looking like offshore winds for waves. What's crazy about this storm is I've never seen a track that goes across Florida into the Gulf and then back over to the Atlantic side. See this snake? Look at that track. It's insane looking. I was really worried about Ian. I'm not as worried about Nicole. The water is not as warm. The temperature is not as warm, not as favorable conditions for a hurricane. But as you can see here, the eye of the storm goes completely into the Gulf and then back over to the East Coast and straight up into Georgia, South Carolina. Interesting, though. We have no idea what to expect for this thing. It's pretty crazy that it's hitting this much shear and it's just going to get pinched and funneled and pressed. And Hurricane Ian did some damage on the East Coast as well. This is expected to be worse than Hurricane Ian for the East Coast if this actually plays out. But we're talking 15-foot waves and 50, 60 mile an hour onshore winds for a couple days because of that giant shear. So that's really interesting. We're going to follow it. We're going to chase it. I'm going to upload more updates tomorrow. Obviously, these types of videos are not planned. We have been filming pranks and challenges like crazy, trying to create some of the best content that we've ever uploaded here on YouTube. But it's got to be good for it to be worth uploading. I also just celebrated my birthday November 2nd. So between my birthday, Halloween, last weekend got pretty crazy. And we're kind of just getting back in the swing of filming videos again. We're going to try to be consistent. I really want to upload one banger per week, preferably on Mondays, Sundays or Mondays. But for now, we have a hurricane. So we have more hurricane vlogs because when the hurricanes come, you guys know we report on them. We go have fun. We catch waves. We try to enjoy ourselves and make the best out of a bad situation. And then, if anything happens, we go try to support the areas that need help. As you guys know, revenue from these videos and proceeds from these videos go towards hurricane relief. So if you want to drop a like on this video and you guys appreciate these reports, then it goes towards a good cause. We are just some Florida men experiencing a hurricane. Vlogs and pranks are on hold for a little bit. Hurricane vlogs come in. It's just the way that it goes. Let me go to Mike's weather page, Spaghetti Models. We're going to see what he has to say about this thing. Ooh, that looks I haven't looked at if this thing consolidates and organizes, we could see a crazy, crazy storm. It's still too early to tell. Like, the crazy thing about hurricanes is they could ramp up, it could go from a tropical storm to a Category 3 hurricane in 3 hours. And that's just a fact. And that's kind of scary. Oh, there we go. Hurricane watch. Tropical storm watch. Hurricane warning. Tropical storm warning. Freeport. Storm surges aren't looking too crazy right now. I have a feeling these are going to change, though. Is that a rainfall map? Yeah, inches of rain. So, could be a lot of rain from this storm. 1 to 3 days. Yeah, see, that's not even enough time for us to know anything yet. Waters are warm, though. I thought the water was cooler than that. The Gulf isn't as warm as it has been, which is good. Oh God, do I even want to do this? Red tide's back. That's definitely because of how much rain was dumped on Florida and how much nasty stuff got washed out. When was this? November 2nd. It's the 7th. We need more samples, guys. Come on. Yeah, down by where the hurricane hit. All the nasty runoff and sewage that came out and fertilizer that's in everyone's yard and all that gross stuff washed out because we got 20 inches of rain in this area. And then, boom, red tide is just pops up. Well, red tide is not because of man. Man contributes to some of the worst red tides that we've ever seen. If you've been watching this channel for long enough, then you know that. As always, I like to make these hurricane updates and kind of just fill you guys in on my perspective as a long-standing Florida man. People say they appreciate these videos, and I got a ton of comments today and a bunch of Instagram DMs, people asking me to talk about Tropical Storm Nicole. Planned on it anyways, was going to do it tomorrow, but you guys inspired me and motivated me with all of your comments asking what the heck was going on. So, what's going on right now? Let's wrap it up. Let's just summarize. We have no idea. We know it's going to be really windy on the East Coast. East Coast is built different, like I said. Should be relatively okay, but huge waves. This long interval swell. If you look at this, these are waves that are traveling hundreds and thousands of miles, potentially. finally smacking Florida. So if it goes offshore, depending on what this storm does, we could easily see the biggest swell of the year for Florida, which excites me. I want to go surf some really big waves. One of the last big swells in Florida, I caught this wave. We'll know more tomorrow. I'll probably do an update midday tomorrow, upload around noon or so. Follow me on Instagram if you want more real-time updates. And thank you guys so much for watching. We got another hurricane on our hands. It's going to get very interesting. Let's go chase this thing, see if we can get in the eye of this one. See you tomorrow.